Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our entitled people. In today's episode, house flipper neighbors cut down the last 200-year-old tree in our neighborhood. Driver in a truck sits through a green light several times and blocks everyone's way. Did your meter run out or didn't it? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. House flipper neighbors cut down the last 200-year-old tree in our neighborhood. Yes, it was on their property. These people bought the neighboring house and decided to flip it in order to sell it. Turned a classic 60s house into a white brick Instagram-esque home. That's fine until they decided to cut down a tree that is treasured in our neighborhood. Yes, some people might think it's just a tree, but that tree was a huge white spruce. The last of its kind in the area. It was monstrous and beautiful and home tons of birds and squirrels and raccoons. My elderly neighbors played on that tree when they were children. Generations of swings and childhood memories were put into that tree. It also served as a privacy barrier for our home and the 3 neighboring homes. It stood in the middle of the 4 properties, but technically was within the lines of that home. Not only was it all of this, but it was a symbol of the area's natural history. The area used to be filled with huge ancient trees until storms and loggers cut it all down, only leaving that one. Everyone loved it. Myself and all my neighbors enjoyed its presence. Until I woke up this morning to chainsaws. Looked up, the tree was gone. They're not even going to be living in the house and they decided to take it from all of us. My mother was crying over it because of how much she loved the tree. Now that it's gone, I look out my back window and instead of seeing beauty I just see their ugly house. I hate people. Plant the same tree in your part of your garden and hope future generations appreciate it. If the tree was that old, in some countries it might have been listed. You might want to check with local council/authorities. What happened to the other trees that's made up the neighborhood? The other really large, old trees got blown over in a really bad storm a few years back. There's a few here and there, but my neighborhood is large and they're not anywhere near our block. That was the last one near us. Driver in a truck sits through a green light several times and blocks everyone's way. This happened this morning on my way to work. I came up behind this person at a green light and realized they weren't moving. Mind you, this person's truck was clearly running. I could hear it because they had one of those loud sports car type engines, and they didn't have their hazard lights on. I honked at them and they continued to not move. I go around the person and so does everyone else behind us, and this person still just sits there, obviously completely oblivious to everyone else around them. In hindsight, I probably should have called the police, but I was so frustrated and already running late so it didn't cross my mind. This is the second time this has happened to me, and the first time it happened, it was because I could see through the back window that the driver and passenger were too busy making out with each other to be courteous of the people behind them, but they did eventually go after the light turned green the second time. This truck's back window was tinted too dark for me to see through it, so I couldn't see what they were doing, but they literally just sat there through every horn and every driver yelling at them, and through 3 green lights. Edit: the more I reread my post and read the comments from others, the more I realize that I'm a major AH. Everyone who said the person could have had a medical emergency could very well be right. It just never crossed my mind that that could have been the case, and the more I think that this person could have died because of my negligence and stupidity, the guiltier I feel. It's also possible he was just drunk and fell asleep with his foot on the brake, and for the person's sake, I do hope that's all that happened and they did not have a serious medical emergency. I don't condone drunk driving at all, but if he was just drunk and fell asleep, at least he fell asleep with his foot on the brake instead of the gas and did not cause a wreck. I realize I'm a heartless person and didn't even stop to consider the possibility of a medical emergency. I sincerely hope that someone else did what I should have done and called 911, and that truck driver is safe and has not had a serious medical problem. Edit 2, I forgot to add in my post that we were on an incline and his brake lights were on. However, I should have reported it regardless because he could have also been up to no good. Sincere thanks to everyone who commented and opened my eyes. Might have been drunk. My husband is a prosecutor and has had DUI cases where the driver falls asleep with their foot on the brake. People do it everywhere, including the drive-through lane. That would really piss me off if I was trying to get my food. It did piss me off. I was pissed off beyond belief. So pissed off that it literally didn't cross my mind to call police on the person. My sister just told me that the truck is gone now, so he either moved or someone else called the police and the truck got towed and the driver detained/arrested. I hope for everyone else's safety that it's the second one if he really was drunk. At least had his foot on the brake and not the gas though. Maybe they died. Did your meter run out or didn't it? This happened decades ago, but I was reminded of it this morning by a comment someone made in the Karen sub, so this is a crosspost. I was wrongly given a parking ticket when there was still time left on the meter, so I went down to the place where you pay to do the best I could to convince them that it was a mistake. This was many decades before cell phones, but even if I could have taken a picture of the meter in my car with the ticket on it, there would have been no way to prove I hadn't come back and put money in the meter after the fact just to lie about it being expired. So the person in front of me was going around and around with the woman at the window, who was professional level at the broken record technique and didn't budge. The conversation the firm employee, FE, had with the entitled woman, EW, went something like this. FE, did your meter run out or didn't it? EW, it's not my fault that I arrived on time for my interview, but they didn't take me for over half an hour after my appointment. FE, did your meter run out or didn't it? EW, I did try to get more nickels for the meter, but the only store in the building said they didn't have any they could give me. This was about 4 decades ago, so yeah, meters still took nickels. FE, did your meter run out or didn't it? EW, you don't understand, it wasn't my fault that the time ran over and I couldn't get any more nickels. FE, did your meter run out or didn't it? EW, fine. As she slams the money down on the counter. When I got up to the window, the FE and I looked at each other and just started laughing, and I told her she wouldn't have to go through that with me. If my meter really had run out, I would have no problem admitting it and paying the ticket, but it really hadn't, so I didn't know why I had been ticketed anyway, and she smiled and waved her magic wand and I didn't have to pay it. Well, did your meter run out or didn't it? It did, but it's not Op's fault. My takeaway from this is that if EW had just said, my meter didn't run out, they would have waived the ticket. They were apparently relying on the honor system to determine whether or not to enforce the ticket, so EW should really be praised for sticking to the truth even though it cost her. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.